Welcome to the Shreveport Connection with Tommy. This video is on your Monday Night Raw results and other wrestling news, along with Superstars report and spoilers for this week of September 27th. Okay, Monday Night Raw report, September 27th. Japanese wrestler Ricky Fuji, aka Masanori Moriara, turned 50 years old on Sunday. He was born September 27, 1965. Naomichi Marufuji turned 36 on Saturday. He was born September 26, 1979. Dark match main event from tonight Raw was advertised as John Cena, Randy Orton, and Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins, Sheamus, and Bray Wyatt in six-man tag. Wonder if it happened. I haven't seen any results of it, so let's go. Two-man power trip wrestling podcast with Don Muracco, hosted by John and Chad. Interview available at tmptow.podomatic.com. The difference in working for Vince McMahon Sr. versus working for Vince McMahon Jr. It's apples and oranges, two different times. Vince Sr. was an old promoter in the old days. He had his area and his promotion and his territory. Vince Sr. was graceful and a gentleman. Not that Vince Jr. isn't, but he was an honorable and classy type of guy. And that Vince Jr. got in the new generation with cable TV and the networks, pay-per-views and marketing and commercials, cartoons, this and that. Vince Sr. was your traditional promoter in an area that was an outstanding area, so it was hard for him to not be an outstanding classy guy. Vince Jr. is a wild man you've seen, pushing and taking a chance. Two different types of guys and just a transition. I was lucky to be a part of the Vince Sr., Eddie Graham, Jim Barnett, into Vince McMahon Jr. high wire act. Did he think pro wrestling would change after Jimmy Snuka leaped off the steel cage in Madison Square Garden? We were going through a whole change at that time. It wasn't Hulk Hogan yet, but the business was doing so well and doing so well. It more evolved and picked up. I was talking to Bruno Sammartino at one time, and he said he just got it from Roca. We got it from Bruno and Backlund. And that's why that the East Coast business was always fabulous for us. With the growth of TV and incorporation of TV and cable TV, it was just a natural progression. Working the Northeast crowd, and they were easy to agitate. Oh yeah, we loved it. I thought I was pretty hot. I go back and watch some old tapes of myself and see like the first 5, 8, 10 minutes of a match, and all I do is get the crap kicked out of me, and the people are popping the whole time. They never seem to come down or get enough of it. It was an entertaining time to have everyone so hot, or everything so hot. I looked at the matches and it's just one comeback after another. Beach Bum was going wild. It was so great. His promo style and attacking Jimmy Snuka hard in interviews. Well, we broke in at about the same time. I was back here wrestling in Hawaii, and I had been wrestling in Vancouver and Portland. I hadn't been in the business more than a year, and Frankie Lane was breaking in Jimmy, so we became familiar with one another. So yeah, it was an easy to communicate. Polynesians, we work for each other and want to see each other both get over. Was he aware of Snuka's issues with Nancy Argentino at the time of their feud? I was right there around it the whole time. It was the week after we shot the thing where he tore all my clothes off and I hit him with a microphone. The same night, it was the oddest coincidence. The same night, Eddie Gilbert had run his brand new Lincoln Town Car off the back end of a semi-truck and got drove down the freeway, and he called me in the middle of the night, and that's how I ended up crossing over with all the state troopers and everything else, and that's how I got involved. But all I can see is my whole future going down the drain there for a while. Has he talked to Superfly in recent months? I was talking to him on the phone until he started having his medical issues. I haven't spoken to him in a while. His wife wanted me to see him when I'm up in New Jersey, and she wanted me to say hello to him and kind of perk up his spirits. Who he does side with in former contracted wrestlers suing Vince McMahon over injury negligence. I would have have more for the personal responsibility, although we were getting run really hard. I don't know. But I guess I would follow Dan Spivey, where you would have to take responsibility for yourself. I just saw a tape of Led Zeppelin doing Stairway to Heaven and Jimmy Page and the four of them. And I think the girl from Heart was doing it too. And they are still surviving. So if Led Zeppelin is still going, then a lot of wrestlers should be. I think, though, I have to agree with Dan Spivey, and you have to take personal responsibility for yourself when it comes to addiction and taking care of your bread. We are all afforded the opportunity to make money, and when you lose it and you are knocked off your high horse, you want to blame somebody else. His world title matches versus Hulk Hogan. When the Hulkster used to come down, my skin used to pop too for Eye of the Tiger. I've said this before, but I realize with all the racial stuff that he got caught with, that previous to that, I've read in the Wrestling Underground media, as it is Hulk and the Ultimate Warrior and a couple of those guys were such horrible workers and such boring performers. They were doing fabulous business. Sometimes I think it's a little in jest that they get criticized for someone not liking somebody's style, but not everyone works like Ray Stevens or Dory Funk Jr. because they are probably the two greatest. Look at all the success Bruno had, and his style wasn't the greatest. You look at the results, when you hold Hogan to those standards, it seems like the Underground goes around calling Hogan a bum, but I was going around those times when everybody was fat, even after I left. He just kept going. Those were good times. Hulk Hogan's racist comments going public. Honestly, I was never part of his clique, so I don't have a dog in the fight. I was never part of his clique. With the guys, they used to fawn around him and kiss his ass for work or for bookings and for places on the card. He always seemed, though, to be one of the guys, kind of, even though he wasn't, because he was the Hulk. He had the TV, the NBC, the movies, and everyone coming after him. I never did see or saw him as a racist or a bigot or anything. He got caught. It was stupid for a guy that spends much time talking publicly like we are talking now, for a person that spends that much time being taped. It was dumb and pretty insensitive. I don't know if he was secretly being taped or what the story is, but still, with all the political correctness and stuff going down, now you have to watch your P's and Q's all the time. And that was the end of that one. Hall of Famer Tammy Sytch was arrested on Wednesday in Pennsylvania for an outstanding bench warrant, according to TMZ.com. She was arrested after missing 3 hearings related to her May arrest for DUI, careless driving, and driving on a suspended license. Lucha Underground, the Lucha Libre wrestling franchise from United Artists Media Group and Factory Made Ventures, has released Supermax Shawn Hernandez from his contract, and they have amicably parted ways. If only Hernandez has received this before he worked the TNA Impact Wrestling TV taping. He ended up working those tapings despite being under contract to Lucha Underground, and TNA ended up having to edit him off every show that he appeared on. I know that there were some hard feelings within TNA over this, so I'm not sure where Hernandez goes from here, but good luck to him. PW Mania interview with Gunner from TNA, a.k.a. his real name, Chad Lale. Interview available at pwmania.com. Comments on working with Samoa Joe. Unfortunately, Joe and I, we worked some house shows together, but we didn't really have any big feuds. I was always upset about that. Crimson had to have a pretty lengthy feud with Joe. Anytime I stepped in the ring with Joe, that's the guy. You know, he's an amazing talent in the ring. He knows he was in and out of the ring. He knows all about character facials, and people love him, obviously, from his Ring of Honor days to now, and in NXT, which I am also so happy to see him in. I think that that's where he belongs. The guy is a machine. He always was very helpful when it came to having a young guy like me and building that character and getting your moves set and just placing the moves where they belong and not doing 30 different moves, but less is more kind of thing. On his time in TNA, his departure, and WWE NXT, he comments, I really enjoyed working for the company. I've been with them since 2009. Terry Taylor helped me get my foot in the door with me and Murphy, and working the security deal. I will definitely miss the guys that I worked with. I think it goes the same way that they will miss me. I talked with a handful of them. I really think it was best. After 6 years, there were times where I felt I was underutilized. Even though I worked with James Storm and I did the main event with Magnus, even after the Sam Shaw stuff, I was put on the back burner for some odd reason and didn't do anything wrong. After 6 years, I was to the point where I was stressed out a lot. I'm 33, you know. I don't want my youth soaked up. I feel like I have something more to offer to somebody, whether Impact calls me back in a couple of months or WWE or Ring of Honor. Wherever it is, I know that me as a person, I have a lot to offer. I think it was what it was best for business. There is no bad blood. It was a mutual agreement, and I thank them for the opportunities of having me in the Impact ring. But I have a bigger and better goal, and I think that since I was 5, I wanted that WrestleMania moment. Ever since I was a kid, I wanted to compete in the WWE ring, and I'm not getting any younger. It's still in the back of my mind, hey, I want to compete in the WWE ring or NXT as an amazing product right now down there. So I feel like I could wrestle on Impact, and I'm looking forward to the future. Any comments on this future and WWE? I personally hope to one day in the future compete in the WWE. I mean, like I said a minute ago, that is my ultimate goal since I was 5. I really feel like even if I go, and another huge goal of mine is acting, I've done 2 movies this year, and I do numerous amounts of auditions every week, but I think my heart lies, and still does, with having a WWE match and having that WrestleMania moment. After that, I can probably retire and hopefully build the Rock status and act as much as I can because I love acting. The beating on my body and wanting to have kids one day and enjoy them. If I'm 65 and I never ever even attempt to try WWE, then there will be a missing void. There, I'm in Kingsport, Tennessee, Kentucky, Georgia, and right outside of Atlanta. So anybody that follows me, I post independent shows. I'm booked all the way to December this year from Virginia to North Carolina to South Carolina. And I'm working on a UK tour, going to Korea for some military appearances. So I stay busy, man. 2-man power trip, another interview, this time with Matt Morgan, formerly of TNA, well, also WWE. Hosted by John and Chad, interview again at tmptow.podomatic.com. How was the atmosphere at TNA when he came in for his last run versus Bram? It was such an encapsulated type of experience because what I saw might have been everybody's A game or best face or best foot forward because they knew that they were getting me there for 3 hours one day and 4 hours the day of the pay-per-view. So when you have a spectacle of a special guest come in or an older talent come in for one match, you're going to get everybody's smiley face. You're not going to get the crap end of the story or hear all the drama or hear, God, this place sucks, but nor would I don't think either. Everyone was just trying to catch up with what was going on and what I've been up to. These were people that were like family members to me, and a lot of them, ironically, a week or 2 after I left, a lot of those family members were leaving TNA anyways. How did TNA approach them? Here's the thing. I'm retired. I love pro wrestling. I love watching it still, and I'm always trying to catch up on Raw and NXT, especially NXT. Impact, not as much, and not because it's an inferior show. I just honestly don't know what channel. I don't even know if I got Destination America. And at this point, I don't have the time to be looking around for crap like that. Every once in a while, I get a text or a call from Big John Gabrick. He had a lot to do with me being on Tough Enough 2 and was a big believer of mine. He took over creative when I left TNA, and we always wanted to work with one another, obviously. and he's always trying to give me a little check-in here and there to see if I'd be willing to come back, and I think I'd figure out for sure that I was done with it, and he kind of stopped, but then he approached me with an idea for me to come back for just one time only thing if I was interested, and they were now filming again at Universal Studios. They were no longer on the road like they were when I left. They are 20 minutes from my house. More importantly, I wanted to say my son saw me wrestle live. In the long run, what I am doing is best for my family, of course. For that little braggadocious moment that my kid would never have had. His programmer, Bram, he comments on. Bram is a good buddy of mine. They are trying to get him over and to the next level of a main event act for no rhyme or reason. The guys they were feeding him or having him work with was not really working. You could see they wanted to get behind him. It's just the talent he was working, other than Magnus, really wasn't helping him get there. So I was honored to finally be asked, because I always been on the tape, so to speak. When I was a young guy, always wrestling the Stings and the Kurt Angles and the Steiners, that helped me to get to that level. Here was the first time I am asked to do that for a younger guy, and I always wanted to be able to give back and do that if ever helped someone. And what a hell of an opportunity to have my kids sit there in the front row. That was probably the biggest part of this for me, to take them up on that offer, one-time appearance only, while I was also doing the honors for a guy that I was friends with, and I thought that he was very, very deserving of it. And if I could help him become even more established or even an inch more over, then so be it. I was definitely honored by that. Has Jeff Jarrett recruited Morgan for Global Force Wrestling? Yeah, definitely. I remember asking Jeff if he had heard that TNA had contacted me about coming back, and Jeff is another guy that has always been a backer of mine to a degree and would always believe in me and give me that fair shake. So the day that Jeff called me, the same exact day that he called me to do one of those house shows for Global Force, and this was a while back, like in March or April earlier this year, 2015, the same morning I had a voicemail from Big from TNA as well. And I asked Jeff if he knew why Big would be calling me by any chance, and are you in touch with TNA at all? And he said no, he had no idea. I thought it was ironic that both of them called the same day, and it's been 2 years since I was on TV. The Global Force TNA relationship and having a Crow-branded invasion. I just think that from Jeff's perspective, at the time there was zero brand awareness for what he has done with his amazing job and marketing campaign, but as far as an on-TV presence, there was zero. So to be able to get on a network and invade a company, no matter who it is, as long as it's a national television audience, it's nothing but a coup and a win for him. With TNA, I thought it was very foolish, unless there was a long-term plan to get back in bed with Jeff and to go back doing what he had done for TNA in the past as a booker or part owner, then that's a different story. I'm guessing that isn't the case because TNA is no longer going to be on Destination America. That was the biggest mistake as far as what he has seen with the TNA business. That stuff with Spike, and I love him to death. He has done so much for me in the business. I love Hulk Hogan. That being said, with him and Eric Bischoff, they spent so much money at TNA bringing in all those people, and nothing affected the ratings. You could bring in Jesus to that show on Spike TV, and nothing was going to move that needle. The way that people just assume that the needle could be moved because of star power, it just doesn't happen overnight. Not even months, if it takes years. That's the way it works. We spent all the money on those guys coming in and nothing really came off of it. And I'm sorry for the 1.4. It is not a big enough number for me to be impressed with those guys that we had on the January 4th, 2010 episode show on Spike. Start and stop booking of his career. At first, I would get super pissed about it, but then I started to look around and it was happening to Samoa Joe on a daily basis, well before it was happening to me. it was happening to Bobby Roode and James Storm on a different level. They kept forcing those two guys to be tag team stars only, which is bull crap. So I watched this go all around from not just me being stopped. It might be more obvious because I am big, and some of the opportunities I'd be given were literal main event pay-per-view moments, like me versus Sting versus Kurt in a three-way, me versus Kurt, me versus Sting, me versus Jeff Hardy in a main event pay-per-view. If I am a fan, I think the same way. Well, what the crap. I see it happen to AJ, to Joe, to Daniels, and all these guys. You always hear that people want that Austin 316 moment, and that's very exaggerated as far as any of us ever having that moment. But it's the moment when you have been made, whether you won the match or lost the match, you've been brought up to the main event and are literally in the main event of a pay-per-view match, and then you not only hold your end, you get over somehow, and the fans show their appreciation, and everyone gives you high fives and standing ovations in the back, and you got over, and then get 2 weeks later, then you're just not doing anything of that sort. Again, it's not just me. I watch this happen to 5 to 8 other talents, so I realize it's not some personal attack against me. It's, unfortunately, the context of the company I am working with. WWE wrestler Wade Barrett is done filming an untitled action movie in the UK for WWE Studios and noted that he is the main villain. This is a big step up for me, as Barrett told the UK Sun. I did a movie in 2012 with WWE Studios where I played a fairly smart part as a bodyguard to the bad guy. This time, I am the main bad guy in the film, chasing down the good guy. Our aim at the start of this movie was to make it the best WWE Studios film of all time, and I think we're well on the way to doing that. And you can read more about his interview with the Sun.co.uk. Barrett also added that he's doing all of his own stunts in the movie and spoke about the differences between wrestling and filming fight scenes. WWE has dropped the ball on Barrett since his run as head of the Nexus. Barrett has had his moments since then, but he's never been the money-making performer that he has the ability to do, or to be. His latest absence gives WWE Creative yet another chance to reboot his character. Let's hope they get it right this time. Just incredible, former ECW champion PJ Polacco will be wrestling his last match on November 20th. Justin will be working against Tommy Dreamer for the Pro Wrestling Syndicate at the Starland Ballroom. More info at this link. It's called bedofnails.com/PWS tickets. .html. Sean Xbox Waltman underwent an MRI exam and a CT scan for a biceps injury on Monday. And I'll show a picture of that in this segment here. Probably on either side, whichever I'll choose from. He commented on his injury. He noted on Twitter that it's possible he tore his biceps and his pectoral muscle. Follow him on Twitter at twitter.com/TheRealXPop. First off, congratulations to Just Incredible on his career. Dreamer is a fitting final opponent, and I'm sure he will help send Justin out in style. Meanwhile, best of luck to Sean Waltman, who also noted that the doctors are concerned about compartment syndrome. I'm not familiar with this condition, but the Trust WebMD listed as a dangerous high pressure that results from bleeding or swelling after an injury and can require surgery. And from the picture, it's a big bruise is what it looks like, but it could be, well, it's like a busted blood vein. WWE has suspended Dylan Postal, who plays the part of Hornswoggle, for 30 days. Apparently, it's from a wellness program violation. I can't even remember the last time a main roster performer was suspended. I don't think Hornswoggle really counts, since he rarely works for the company these days, aside a recent dark match appearance at a house show near his hometown. Well, here comes the Monday Night Superstars Spoilers, Cesaro defeated Heath Slater. The match included a Cesaro swing that went into the teens for Revolution count. Cesaro also jumped into the crowd, and people love that guy. Match number 2, the Lucha Dragons defeated the Ascension. Nothing too memorable from this match. It was your typical Dragons versus Ascension match. Kalisto got the pin on Victor. And a live results report from the guy in the that was apparently in the crowd by the name of Jeremy, who attended Raw in Buffalo, sent the following report. Compared to last year's Raw, with Seth Rollins curb stomp Randy Orton to end the show, this was a very disappointing experience. After reading your review and Twitter comments, I can see that television viewers didn't have it much better either. The crowd was very weak throughout the show, which could be the reason why WWE rarely comes here often. Pretty disappointing to say the least. He comments that John Cena opening the show got the crowd involved quickly, and he was the most over man in the building, which isn't shocking. There was a mild reaction for Xavier Woods and the rest of the New Day, but I've heard better on TV. The match itself was decent, but nobody believed Cena would drop the U.S. title to Woods. Impromptu six-man match was happened right afterwards, involving the Dudley Boys. Was cool, but it looked sloppy. From where I was sitting, the New Day winning got very little reaction, which is strange because throughout the night there were New Day claps. Now, you know. During commercials and in between segments, WWE showed trailers for 12 Rounds Reloaded, which was expected. Being that it's Randy Orton in this movie, they also showed interviews with P. Diddy regarding his performance at WrestleMania 30 and that Rapper Dude from last year. Rapper Dude got booed tremendously at least. The biggest reaction from the night, besides Cena, was Lillian Garcia mentioning the Buffalo Bills, which the city is obviously insane for. Not even Paul Heyman, Randy Orton, or Roman Reigns got bigger reactions. Miz TV came off terrible all around until Paige came out. She got a decent reaction, but still couldn't save it. King Barrett's return got zero reaction except for myself and the guys I went with. Nobody else seemed to care. Kane and Rollins segment all night were mild in reaction, but everyone seemed behind Kane and amused by Ashley from HR. It was disappointing not to see Rollins perform on Raw. Both Reigns and Wyatt got minimal reactions, and during the match, there was a small "We Want Sasha" chant. The match itself looked kind of sloppy, but the brawl afterwards was pretty cool. There was a "This is awesome" chant going, but in comparison to the rest of the evening, I guess what it was and what it is. There wasn't a dark match after the show, as Lillian Garcia didn't say that they were coming back to Buffalo in the near future, which the crowd, like ours, I can't blame them. And the actual results for Raw. Raw opened up with a look back at Kane and the World Heavyweight Champion Seth Rollins for last week. And we get the Raw opening video live from Buffalo as Michael Coleslaw, who has recently lost for the entire year 65 pounds, welcomes us to Raw, and he's joined by JBL and Byron Saxon. We go right to the ring, and out comes WWE United States Champion John Cena to a very mixed reaction. Apparently, he's bringing back the U.S. Open Challenge, and Heath Slater was shown backstage, apparently waiting his entrance, but that never happened. Surprise! New Day's music fans boo as Cena takes the mic and says, "It seems like some of them are salty tonight." Cena tells them to have no fear because the champ is here. Cena says he will be defending his title tonight right now. Cena kicks off the Open Challenge and tells whoever to come get some. Xavier Woods' trombone starts off, and Cena's music is playing Cena's music. John Cena sucks. Out comes WWE Tag Team Champions, the New Day. Big E says that they're here to make WWE great again. He talks about getting rid of the Dudley Boys this coming Saturday night on the WWE Network. And Big E says that they're here to answer Cena's challenge and give him a brand new slogan: hustle, loyalty, and booty. Kofi Kingston talks about the New Day holding the U.S. and Tag Team Champions at the same time. Cena cuts them off and tells them to pick one and send them in the ring. He says there's a time to entertain and a time to be serious. If they don't take him serious, he will beat all of their butts. But PG-13 goes out the window because he said asses. Cena drops the mic and says, and the New Day goes into a huddle. Woods enters the ring, and it looked like they were going to do the, the finger thing. 1, 2, rock, paper, scissors thing. Well, they just do the backup and leave Woods as he's entering the ring and does the formal introductions. Woods taunts Cena with a trombone before the bell. Cena immediately nails the clothesline, and Woods goes to the floor to recruit, screaming that he wasn't ready. Big E and Kofi both get on the apron, but Cena decks Big E. Woods comes in, but Cena slams him. Kofi backs off, but distracts Cena in a mid-move. Cena yells at him, and the referee ejects Big E and Kofi from ringside. As we go to commercial. Back from the commercial, and Cena slams Woods. 5-knuckle shuffle. It goes for attitude adjustment, but Woods slides out and hits the big right hand. Woods drops Cena with a kick to the head for a 2 count. Woods goes up top, but Cena cuts him off. Cena goes for a super attitude adjustment, but Woods escapes to the mat. Woods ducks across body and hits a nice EDT from out of the corner for a 2 count. Cena catches Woods in midair and power bombs him for a 2 count. Then Cena goes for another attitude adjustment, but Woods slides out again, and this time kicks him. Woods delivers a knee, and Woods slams Cena on his face for a close 2 count. Pinfall, and comes back, and Cena comes back, drops Woods again for another close pin attempt. Woods escapes another attitude adjustment and drops Cena onto his boot for a 2 count. Cena gets a roll up for a 2 count. Woods gets offense for a 2 count. Woods goes to the top and lands on the mat as Cena moves. Cena nails the clothesline, then applies the SCF in the middle of the ring. Kofi and Big E run to break up the hold for the disqualification finish. The pyro goes off, and the Dudleys come out to even up the odds. Devon and Bubba Ray help Cena clean house. The New Day drags Devon out of the ring and beat on him, which brings Cena and Bubba out. The New Day runs in. The ring stands tall as we go to commercial with 2 teams facing off. So we get John Cena and the Dudleys versus the New Day. Back from the break, Cena and the Dudleys have Kofi in the corner. Bubba drops Kofi with a right hand and tags Devon in for some double teaming. Devon with a 2 count. Cena tags in to some moves and hits a 5-knuckle shuffle to Kofi. Big E tags in and has some stare down with Cena. They lock up, and Big E applies a headlock. Big E then drops Cena with a shoulder and stomps away in the corner. Kofi tags in with some more stomps in the corner as Woods tags in with some stomps. So all 3 of them got stomps. More tags, and Kofi from the New Day. Big E whips Kofi into Cena's chest while he's down. Woods grabs the trombone and starts playing. As Big E dances on the apron, Kofi with a 2 count on Cena. Cena fights out of a headlock, but Kofi trips him on his face. Big E tag back in, runs the ropes and splashes Cena for a 2. Devon and Kofi tag in, with Devon getting upper hand. Woods comes in, but Devon decks him. Devon with a neck breaker on Kofi out of the corner. Big E comes in and charges, but Devon moves, and Big E ends up spearing Cena off the apron into the barrier. Devon with a 2 count on Kofi now. Bubba tags in and ducks a trouble in paradise. He nails a bubble bomb for a 2 count as Woods breaks up the pinfall. Devon takes Woods out. Devon tags in and hits the big top rope headbutt as Bubba holds Kofi. They call for the 3D, but Woods pulls Bubba's boot. Kofi nails the trouble in paradise on Devon as he's distracted for the win. After the match, Cena is still down against the barrier, and Bubba checks on Devon. New Day celebrates all the way up the ramp. Then we get a look at Paige's promo from last week. Still to come, Becky Lynch and the Divas Champion Charlotte will be on Miz TV. Back to commercial. Back from the break, Triple H is talking with Ashley from Human Resources and Stephanie McMahon. Triple H says he's not sure if HR is the way to deal with Kane. Kane walks in, and Triple H tries to interrupt, but Stephanie says Ashley is here because there has been an anonymous complaint filed against Kane, saying that he's created an unsafe working environment. Stephanie says that they take the health and well-being of their employees very seriously. Seth Rollins walks in, and he's acting outraged at the complaint. Rollins mentions it was an anonymous email, but Stephanie didn't say that. Ashley is here to give a performance evaluation to Kane. Kane tells Rollins he can handle the heat. There's no pressure. Kane walks up with Ashley telling her all about Total Divas. Rollins says he's going to keep his eye on Kane as he walks off too. Cole highlights the main event, Roman Reigns versus Bray Wyatt. We see Reigns and Dean Ambrose backstage. Ambrose tells him going out there alone tonight isn't the smartest decision. Reigns says he doesn't care what the Wyatt family is planning. He says Wyatt started this war. He's finishing it tonight, one-on-one. Ambrose says he will come swinging for the fences if Braun Strowman or Luke Harper try anything. Reigns says Randy Orton will give Ambrose a hand if he needs it. Ambrose is skeptical after what happened with Chris Jericho. Orton appears. Ambrose calls Orton an outsider, and Reigns cuts them off. Orton tells Reigns he's got tonight to handle his business with the Wyatts. After that, it's open season. Orton leaves, and as we go to commercial, then we get Big Show Mark Henry up next. Back from the break, Mark Henry waits in the ring as Big Show makes his way out. Bell rings as they go at trading blows. Henry tries to scoop Show, but can't. That's all the offense that I've seen in this one. That's where I caught the show at. And basically, some of the show, as it even during the main event, my feed froze, and I didn't get to see the end of the event online or anything. But seen the highlights and what have you, so I'm giving the report from what I've seen as well as the dirt sheet results. Henry tried to scoop Show, but can't. Show took Henry down with a spear and yelled at the fans, threatening to slap a guy in the face. Show scoop slammed Henry. And then Big Show taunted Henry as he tried to get up. Show with another scoop slam. Show's yelling again at he's a giant, and this is his ring. Show with another big scoop slam, and then kick to the face with more trash talking, and then calls for a knockout punch and nails it for the win. After the match, Show leaves yelling about how he's the greatest and reminding everybody the special this weekend, Big Show versus Brock Lesnar. Or something like that. Still to come segment, Reigns versus Wyatt. We see The Miz backstage getting his makeup done. As we go to commercial, back from the break, Miz is out for Miz TV, welcomes us and says people can't get enough of the Divas Revolution, but the Divas have had enough of each other. We see Paige's promo from last week. Miz introduces Becky Lynch and Charlotte. Out they come. Miz says that they got decimated by Team Bella last time that they were on his show. Becky says that they remember it like Miz almost getting beat up for being a sexist, chauvinistic jackass. Miz brings up the Team PCB, and Charlotte says Paige has two options. Come talk to her face to face like a woman, or come out to just fight. Miz says she can't just invite guests to be on his show. Becky takes Miz's mic and throws it up the ramp. Charlotte calls out Paige again, but Nikki Bella, Brie Bella, and Alicia Fox come out instead. Nikki calls them losers. She says they didn't come to fight, they came to thank them. Team Bella says that while they fight like high school girls, Team Bella is more united than ever. Nikki says that she's starting to feel sorry for Charlotte because she'll be consumed with drama by the time that they have their rematch. Charlotte invites Nikki into the ring and says that she will make her tap out again. Team Bella enters the ring now as Nikki and Charlotte cut promos. Charlotte says the revolution isn't about any individual diva. It's about fans believing in them and them believing in each other. Alicia points out that there's three of them and two of them. It looks like we're about to have a fight, but out comes Paige. Paige says Charlotte and Becky wouldn't even be on TV if it wasn't for her. She says she put NXT on the map by becoming the first NXT Women's Champion. She says Charlotte wouldn't be the Divas Champion, and people still wouldn't know Becky's name if it wasn't for her. Paige takes a shot at the Bella Twins, saying, "Who needs ambition when you have two boyfriends like theirs?" Referring to John Cena and Daniel Bryan. And also referring to the Streak. Brawl breaks out and Team PCB clears the ring together. We go to commercial. So we got an impromptu tag team match, 6 diva action. Back for the break, Paige is going at it with Fox as Kane made a match. They keep control until Brie and Charlotte go at it. Brie with a 2 count. Charlotte turns around and tags in Becky for an awkward double hip toss and a double elbow drop. Alicia ends up nailing Becky off for a distraction. Team Bella took control as Nikki comes back and comes in and keeps Becky down. Alicia comes in and suplexes Becky for a 2 count. Alicia with a knee in the back now. Bree tags in and stomps on Becky. Bree with a suplex for another pin attempt. Bree unloaded with a kick in the corner. Nikki tagged in for another pin attempt on Becky. Becky fights back, but Nikki cut her off. Becky blocked the suplex with a roll-up. They both go down after colliding with clotheslines. Charlotte got the tag, but Paige didn't like it. Charlotte unloaded on Nikki and hits the neckbreaker and a super kick for a 2 count as Team Bella breaks the pin. Paige ran in and throws Alicia out. Charlotte goes for the figure 4, but Nikki kicks her into Paige, knocking her off the apron. Paige waves goodbye and walks on to the match. Natalya meets Paige on the ramp and argues with her. Natalya goes to the apron to fill in for Paige, but Paige pulls her down, leaving her laying after she hit her head on the apron. Nikki took advantage and scooped Charlotte up with a rack attack and a win. After the match, Team Bella stood tall in the ring as Becky, Natalya, and Charlotte were at ringside. Paige is gone from the arena and gone to the back. Cole's all hyped Lesnar versus Big Show, leading us to a WWE 2K16 trailer for the video game. And also, the reminder of this Saturday on the WWE Network at Madison Square Garden special. Seth Rollins backstage talking with Ashley from HR. When Kane walks up, Rollins plays it off like everything is cool. Kane hands Rollins a box with a bow on it. Rollins wants to know what's in the box, but Kane tells him to just open it. Rollins pulls the head of his statue from the box. Kane says he went to a landfill in Baltimore and it took him all night to dig it up. Ashley says that's very considerate. Rollins says it's too much and he can't keep the head. Rollins walks off. Kane jokes with Ashley and leaves her holding the head. Back to commercial. Primetime Players versus Luke Harper and Braun Strowman. Back from the break, Titus O'Neil's out with Darren Young. Luke Harper and Braun Strowman were out next. Harper and Young start off. Harper takes Young to the corner and slams him. They get up and Harper drops him with a shoulder. Young fights back and nails the clothesline. Braun comes in and sends Young into the barrier. He and Harper control Young until Titus finally gets the tag. Titus unloaded on Braun. On Harper, Braun hit Titus, and Titus rocks him with a right hand, but it does nothing. Harper takes advantage of the distraction and drops Titus for a 2 count as Young breaks the pinfall. Braun manhandles Young from the apron, but Titus comes to the save. Titus turns around to a huge clothesline from Harper. Braun tags in and chokes Titus out for the win. Stardust versus Neville was up next. Back from the break, out comes Stardust by himself. Neville was out next. They lock up Trey Hole. Stardust took control as Cody chants start. Neville counters and ducks a clothesline and nails a Hurricane Rana. Stardust comes right back and runs into a kick. Neville goes to the top, but Stardust nails him and turns him upside down in the corner. And they go back and forth for about a minute. Stardust springboards in, but Neville hits him with a huge drop kick to the mouth. Neville goes up top for the red arrow, but out comes King Barret. Stardust shoves Neville into a bullhammer for the disqualification finish. Winner by disqualification, Neville. Barret stands over Stardust and helps him up, but immediately drops him with a bullhammer. Barret demands a mic and says, "All hail the return of the king." Barrett's music hits as he makes his exit. Rollins backstage talking with Ashley from HR again. Back to commercial. Back for the break, and Ashley from HR is in the ring with Kane for his performance evaluation. Ashley goes to speak, but the music hits, and out comes Seth Rollins, World Heavyweight Champion. Rollins calls her report biased and one-sided. He tells Ashley Kane is not the man she thinks he is and not the man he's portraying himself as. Rollins shows us a video package on the Demon. Rollins says that that's the real Kane. Rollins goes on and talks about how he's going to heaven, not hell. Kane shows us a video of Rollins being out of line also. Ashley reads her report and she's come to the conclusion that Kane is of sound mind and more than capable of fulfilling her duties as Director of Operations. She says Kane is professional, kind, helpful, and thoughtful, far from being a menace. She calls him the perfect WWE employee as Rollins throws a fit. She says if anyone needs to be evaluated, it's Rollins. She calls him rude, cruel, petty, narcissistic, and paranoid. She says Rollins is the single most unprofessional person she's ever met in her time at WWE. Rollins marches to the ring and gets in Kane's face, yelling at him. Kane has enough and drops the mic. Rollins drops the title, and Kane goes to pick it up, but Rollins nails the pedigree. Rollins then yells at Kane and raises the title to boos. Rollins brings a steel chair in the ring and smacks Kane in the side. He also hits him in the back and the leg with it. Rollins and hits him in the stomp on the chair on the ankle, but Kane selling it over the knee. Rollins hits several chairs on the back. The fans boo and stand tall with the chair, playing Kane again. Like I said, the ankle. Rollins says Kane doesn't look like a demon now. He looks like a regular human crying and screaming. Rollins goes on about everyone knows Kane is a fraud. Kane is stretched out of the arena and goes into an ambulance, and he will never get near him or the title again. Rollins says Kane's days of being jealous of him are over. Rollins raises the title and laughs. We see the stretcher being loaded into the ambulance. It drives away but suddenly stops. Maybe like about 1,000 to 1,500 feet. Rollins is still running his mouth, and he didn't see this. We see the back of the ambulance lighting up with red inside. As they probably installed red stage lights inside with white smoke. The doors open and the smoke is coming out. And the Demon Kane steps out with his mask as he undressed and put his outfit on. It was just long enough for him to put it on. As Rollins is scared now, Kane lifts through the back, stops, and does the leg to the floor. Stop. Okay, his pain's gone. He's now marching to the ring as Rollins grabs a chair. Power goes off and Kane's music hits in the arena. Kane enters the ring. Rollins hits the injured leg with a chair, but it does nothing. Kane stares him down. Rollins pleads and backs up. Kane tosses Rollins into the corner and unloads. Kane with big right hands. Kane nails a choke slam. Kane cuts his own throat. And scoops Rollins up for a tombstone, but Rollins slid out and retreated to the floor. Rollins stumbles up the ramp as Kane laughs. Still to come, Reigns versus Wyatt main event. Wyatt graphic flashes as Bray is on the big screen. He asks Reigns if he saw what Braun and Harper did earlier. Wyatt says that they make him proud and would love to come to the ring tonight to destroy Reigns, but he's coming to the ring alone. Wyatt says he will be the one to put Reigns down because they are the Alpha and the Omega. Wyatt says it's always been about he and Reigns. He tells Reigns to run as we go to commercial. Back from the break, we see some of the NFL's Buffalo Bills at ringside. I didn't see anything. Like I said, I missed some of it, with all the buffering and what have you. Bo Dallas versus Randy Orton. I think I took a restroom break in this one. Bo Dallas in the ring with a microphone. He gives a shout out to the Buffalo Bills and gets a pop. Bo calls them a true inspiration and almost an inspiration. Bo said that they're missing one important thing, a Super Bowl trophy. Bo says he can help them achieve that if they just believe. Randy Orton comes out to a pop, bell rings and they lock up, go into the corner. Bo goes for a cheap shot, but Orton drops him. They both go to the floor and Bo shows off. After just some minor offense, Orton fights back with uppercuts and whips Bo into the barrier in front of the Buffalo Bills. Orton backdrops Bo in the front of the Bills as they are going crazy. Orton brings it back in the ring, but Bo nails the knee. Orton with a backbreaker. Orton with a second rope draping DDT as the Bills cheer him on. And this is where I come back in for the finish. Orton ready for the RKO and nails it for the easy win. And we get a look at Kevin Owens walking out on Rusev in their match against Ryback and Dolph Ziggler. Up next, Owens versus Rusev non-title match. Back to commercial. Back from the break. Ryback is out on commentary. Intercontinental Champion Kevin Owens makes his way out for a non-title match. Rusev was out with Summer Rae. They start throwing rights and lefts to start. Rusev with a big forearm and follow-away slam. Owens goes to the floor and Rusev follows. Rusev takes control and whips Owens into the steps, but Owens blocks it. Owens sends Rusev into Ryback. Ryback fights back, and now we have a brawl. Owens and Rusev team up to send Ryback into the steps and then into the ring. They double team him, and out comes Dolph Ziggler. Rusev meets him at ringside, but gets dropped. Ziggler enters the ring and Owens leaves just in time. Owens leaves with his title and raises it on the ramp as Ziggler stands tall with Ryback. We're going to look at various WWE superstars and divas dancing for Pediatric Cancer Awareness Month. And thus also, October is Susan G. Komen month, so expect the ring ropes to turn pink. And we get a look at various WWE superstars and divas dancing for Pediatric Cancer Awareness. Even Stephanie McMahon. Then we see Paul Heyman backstage walking. And they go to commercial. Right in front of the commercial, Lillian introduces Paul Heyman. Heyman says anyone who steps in the ring with the Beast this month will go to hell because his client Brock Lesnar is Brock Lesnar. Heyman talks about Lesnar vs. Big Show this coming Saturday night at Madison Square Garden special. Only on the network. Heyman talks about how Show is bored and nobody can take him to his limits, but this Saturday night someone will take him to his limits. Heyman said that when Show is pushed to his limits, he is an unstoppable giant with a knockout punch full of power. Heyman declares that Lesnar will take Show to Suplex City this Saturday night. Show's music hits out. He comes to interrupt. Heyman comes out, cuts a promo on Heyman and Lesnar. He says Heyman didn't finish promoting the Go to Hell tour because he's afraid Show will make history on Saturday night. Show says it will be eat, sleep, beat Brock Lesnar at Madison Square Garden. Repeat. Heyman drops the mic and out comes and walks to the ring. Show stops him and tells him to think about his future. A future without Brock Lesnar. Heyman heads to the back as Show music hit. So the comes segment, Reigns versus Wyatt, back to commercial, and finally your main event. Back from the break, out comes Roman Reigns to the crowd. Wyatt was out next, but he's got Luke Harper and Braun Strowman with him. Reigns takes the mic and he's upset that Wyatt brought his training wheels out with him. Reigns asks if they respect Wyatt as a man or a leader because it looks like he's just a little bitch. Wyatt whispers something to Harper and Braun as they leave and go to the back. Reigns unloads to start the match. Reigns with a big throw and then another. Reigns takes it to the floor. We go to commercial with Reigns in control. Back from the break. And Wyatt has Reigns in a headlock. Reigns breaks it and sends Wyatt to the apron. Reigns crawls towards Wyatt, but Wyatt chokeslams him hard for a 2 count. Wyatt pounds on the back of Reigns' head with forearms. Reigns fights back out, but Wyatt nails the DDT for a close 2 count. Reigns makes a comeback. Finally, rocks Wyatt with kicks and a knee on the apron. Reigns with a suplex, slam, and a 2. Reigns with clotheslines in the corner. Reigns hits the ropes and nails a big shot on Wyatt to a mixed reaction. Reigns goes for a Superman punch, but Wyatt catches him. Reigns slings Wyatt across the ring, but gets kicked. Wyatt with a huge clothesline for a 2 count. They end up battling in the corner, and Reigns hits a sit-down powerbomb for a 2 count. Reigns readies for a spear, but runs into a boot. Reigns goes for another, but ducks the clothesline and nails a Superman punch that sends Wyatt to the floor. Reigns charges around the ring, but Wyatt sidesteps, and Reigns hits the steel steps hard. Wyatt grabs half of the steel steps and launches them, but Reigns avoids it. Reigns fights back, clotheslines Wyatt over the barrier. Reigns brings him back to ringside and takes apart the announce table. Referee has counted them both out. Double count out finish. Reigns leaps over the barrier and nails Wyatt as he tries to retreat. They fight to the crowd near the production area and among the fans. The brawl continues and Wyatt launches a WWE tech worker into Reigns. Wyatt charges and crashes through the part of the barrier with Reigns to some holy crap chants, which was a holy shit. Fan chant, this is awesome now. Wyatt gets up smiling and laughing. Wyatt stands on top of the announce table and holds his arm out. Reigns runs up the steel steps and spears Wyatt through the table. A big yes chant starts up as Wyatt and Reigns are laid out on top of the smash table. The crowd pops big as Raw goes off the air at that point. And that concludes my Raw video for this week. If you don't know, well, you better call me, bro. See you when I want to be you. By the way, don't forget, stay tuned next time. Same 3-4 channel, same 3-4 time. Well, this time it's on time, Wednesday night.